Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Give double honors to my apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and a sincere Shalom to the elect out there teaching this truth in all honesty and sincerity in these last days. Alright, I'm the brother Yasharan, and this is an update on the Russia and Ukraine conflict. Okay, it's looking like the pieces are being put into play for World War III. Okay, I'm going to read this article, and we're going to elaborate a little bit. It says, this is from BBC. It was published earlier today. It says, Ukraine conflict. Biden sanctions Russia over, quote, beginning of invasion. Okay? Now, let me just give you a little update on what happened. The other day, Putin annexed the Donetsk, I believe that's what it's called, the Donetsk region, okay, of Ukraine. Basically claiming that it's part of Russia. Okay? And it sent the whole international community crazy, okay? And then he just went and rolled up in there. Okay, just rolled up in there, almost unopposed. Okay? There's lots of videos out there showing that a lot of the Ukrainian citizens in that region, that particular region of Ukraine, they don't have a problem with Russia. You know, it was business as usual. Okay? And then you have, I mean, look at Biden here. Just look at this guy. Look at this guy. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Okay? And this is a large reason why they're doing this, man. Why Russia's doing this. Because America has shown that this guy is a weak-ass leader. He's incompetent. The U.S. has hit Russia with wide-ranging sanctions over what President Joe Biden called the beginning of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. We've cut off Russia's government from Western financing, Mr. Biden said. And we're going to get some scriptures on this, man, in a second. It came after Russian politicians authorized President Vladimir Putin to send troops into two rebel-held parts of eastern Ukraine. Russia has recognized the regions as independent, a move Ukraine said attacks its sovereignty. Western nations largely see the action as a pretext for a wider invasion. On Monday, Mr. Putin ordered soldiers into the breakaway Donetsk and Luhansk regions to keep the peace, a description the U.S. called nonsense. Okay, you see the two sides fight each other, man. Go back and forth, right? It sounds like the Cold War all over again. For those of us who may have been old enough to experience some of that. Okay? Satellite imagery over the past 24 hours has shown several new troop and equipment deployments in western Russia and more than 100 vehicles at an airfield in Belarus near Ukraine's border, according to U.S. space technology company Maxar. Okay? Now keep in mind, Belarus region, Ukraine, parts of Ukraine and all that, those used to be part of the USSR. Russia's military has not yet commented, oh, well, hey, that's getting into Ezekiel 38, okay? In Ezekiel 38, the Lord said that what? He was going to put hooks in the jaws of Russia. Okay? and bring it back to its old ways, okay? Or go back into empire mode. You know, Kazakhstan, Georgia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan. Okay, those are all formerly Russian satellites, okay? He's trying to bring all that back. Russia's military has not commented, and it is not clear if any Russian troops have been seen in eastern Ukraine. Well, there's plenty of videos out there proving that they have. Okay? Slack, I don't know what the hell just happened there. There's a lot of videos out there showing that the people in those regions of Ukraine, okay, are pretty much welcoming the Russian presence. Announcing its first tranche of measures directly targeting the Russian state, Mr. Biden said on Tuesday, to put it simply, Russia just announced that it is carving out a big chunk of Ukraine. The move includes sanctions on Russia's foreign debt, meaning the country can no longer raise money for its state financing from Western financial institutions, okay? So we look at what Russia's been doing the last 10 years or so. What have they been doing? They've been buying up a lot of gold and silver reserves because they know that if they've known for a long time, because remember, Putin was went into Crimea, I believe it was 2013, 2014. Okay, they knew then that if they were to try this, that the West would try and cut them off to an extent. So they prepared by buying lots of gold and silver reserves. So they don't have to depend on the West to finance their nation's debt. Okay, so what the West is doing, primarily NATO and America, is they're trying to cut Russia off from the rest of the world. Okay? Polarizing it, as they say. And all this is coming at a time when, at a time when Russia and China are trying to convince other nations to depend less on the U.S. dollar, okay, which is starting to struggle. But recently, with all this talk, people have been flying to the dollar, flocking to the dollar, okay, which is traditionally what people do when there's turmoil in the world. They lean on the U.S. dollar. But does the dollar really have the strength left, to support all that? And it comes at a time when the U.S. has been talking pretty consistently now about their own central bank digital currency, a digitized dollar, okay? They've been talking a lot about that the past couple months. So, we'll have to see how that plays out. But the Most High is definitely shaking things up, In fact, let me get this scripture. Let me just put the word in. I already know where it is. It's in Luke. Okay. This is Luke 12:49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I, if it be already kindled? Okay, and when we get into 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, it talks about how the Most High is visiting the earth through what? Through the final remaining prophecies. Okay, and that's how the Lord is sending fire upon the earth. By mixing things up, alright, getting things ready for the world war. Because it doesn't matter whether you're in America, or whether you're in Russia, or whether you're in Europe. Okay? All these sanctions going back and forth that the West is about to impose on Russia, and you better believe Russia is going to retaliate. Okay? You better believe they're going to retaliate. And they might even have China join in on some of that retaliation. Okay? There's an economic war as well as a physical war. And what do bad conditions often lead to with a nation when their back is against the wall? They resort to what? To war. Okay? So the U.S. is cutting off Russia from Western financial institutions, and you bet that Russia has been hinting that they're about to start cutting off certain things from the rest of the world. Like Russia I believe they're the number one exporter of titanium, and everybody knows that they're a large exporter of gas. Okay. So in a society where, globalization has been the big thing the past 25 years or so, 20 years. All right, we're starting to see all these nations separate, but really, all these nations are all globalized and intertwined with each other. All right, so that's going to bring about bad economic conditions, which could bring about famines, man. Let me get this in Matthew 24. Matthew 24 and 6. For ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And this is a war and a rumor of war, okay? Even though there's no solid evidence that Russia is actually invading Ukraine. Besides just a couple cell phone videos. Okay? The West is already reacting by cutting them off, trying to cut them off from the rest of the world. Alright, that's wars and rumors of wars. Okay, this is going to get to a point where it's not going to have no choice but to get physical. Okay, you could tell that Putin is putting his chess pieces into play, and he's trying not to have all-out war because of how it's going to look. Okay, but he's playing the West pretty good right now. He's playing the West pretty good right now. He's taking pages out of their playbook, honestly. Because what they're doing now is some shit that America would have done 15, 20 years ago. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Okay, so pretty much it right now. It looks like NATO and America versus Russia and China. Okay. Then you have nations within NATO that have a strong alliance with Russia and China. Okay, we could see. Oh wait! In fact, I got my computer just chilling on here, and there's an update from 3 minutes ago. Okay, from 3 minutes ago, it says Biden announces sanctions. Again, I have this pulled up on my laptop. Biden announces sanctions on Nord Stream 2 company. U.S. official says Russian forces are ready to go for an attack. So they announced that they're putting sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 company, okay? Which was a company that was built to funnel gas from natural gas from Russia to Germany. Okay? So you got to wonder how Germany feels about that. All right? So so Biden's been announcing that he's going to do it, and he did it. All right? So the economic war is officially on. Not only is he blocking them from financial institutions, but he's trying to block that pipeline. Okay? Which, if you've been following the situation with Syria and with Iran and all that, a lot of that has to do with pipelines, man. Okay? Whoever wins this little battle, this little standoff, is pretty much going to be the supplier of gas and oil to Europe for a really long time. That's why it's so important to these nations. That's why they're willing to risk nuclear war for it. And because Esau is also a fucking madman. Okay? If he can't have it all, he don't want it. Verse Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Well, hey, the scriptures talk about how he shall never not have enough. Let me get that in a second. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So we're entering the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay, the beginning pieces of World War III being put into place. Let me get this in Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Right? Because the wicked, okay, so the biblical Edomites, what they do is they depend on their wickedness. Okay, they trust in their wickedness. They trust thereon upon their wickedness, which is what the scriptures say. Okay? We always have to, yes, it's great to be in the news and all that, and you should be, you know, because we're the watchmen, that's what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to watch and warn, okay? But, okay, faith is the most important thing. All right? But the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Now they keep it at home. Okay? And that's Esau, man. No matter what happens around the world, he's always got to stick his fucking nose in their business. He's always got to stick his fucking nose in everybody's business, man. He doesn't mind his own business. Here it is, America is all the way on the other side of the world. What the fuck do they care about Ukraine for? Who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, it cannot be satisfied. Because that's Esau Edom, man. He can't ever be satisfied. Alright? And then that describes America perfectly. They can never be fucking satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay? That's what America is trying to do right now with this whole Russia situation. They're trying to get the whole world to come against Russia. Let me finish this article up. Continuing on, the U.S. is also punishing high-ranking elites from Russia. They share the corrupt gains of the Kremlin policies and should share the pain as well, Mr. Biden said. The U.S. had already banned American companies from dealing with the rebel-held Ukrainian regions of Donetsk and Luhansk, but few companies do. Okay? The UK and European Union also announced a wave of sanctions against Russian banks and individuals earlier on Tuesday. Okay? See how these come in waves? And that's what America and Nato do. All right? That's what they do. They just single these nations out and they pick on them. You know, they put all kinds of sanctions on them, cut them off from the rest of the world. And it's really the people who suffer. All 27 EU member states agreed a range of anti-Russia measures targeting all 351 members of Russia's upper house that voted to recognize the two breakaway regions of Ukraine as independent states. The EU's response also targets 27 individuals and entities involved in the decision. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that 5 banks had their assets frozen in Britain, along with 3 Russian billionaires who will be hit with UK travel bans. Okay? Canada, Japan, and Australia later confirmed similar measures. Germany also halted a major joint infrastructure project with Russia, the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, which is so important in all this. Okay? This is really the centerpiece of the whole thing. You know? Despite Europe's reliance on Russian gas supplies and the fact that $10 billion of the project is ready to open supply lines. None of the sanctions went as far as what had been threatened in the event of a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, though both U.S. and European officials stressed that more action would follow if the situation deteriorated. The U.S. is also moving troops into NATO member states Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which are on or near Russia's border, an official said. The military redeployment from Italy involves some 800 infantry troops, along with a number of F-35 fighter jets and 20 attack helicopters, some of which will go to Poland. Diplomatic efforts to avert the Ukrainian crisis have so far failed. Well, hey, I mean, all they're doing is just dividing Satan's kingdom. As Satan's kingdom to be divided against itself, it cannot stand. Okay? I'm going to finish reading this up and then I'm going to close it up. Just quoting scriptures here and there. And in Russia on Tuesday, President Putin said the Minsk agreements, the peace deals aimed at averting years-long conflict in eastern Ukraine, do not exist. Okay, the agreements were killed long before yesterday's recognition of the People's Republics of Donbass, he said, using the administrative name for the two regions of eastern Ukraine, and not by us, not by representative of these republics, but by the current Kiev authorities. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken followed Mr. Biden's speech by announcing he had canceled a planned Thursday meeting with his Russian counterpart. Now that we see the invasion is beginning and Russia has made clear its wholesale rejection of diplomacy, it does not make sense to go forward with that meeting at this time, he said. But he added that the U.S. would engage with Russia if it changed its approach. Ukraine's President Zelensky earlier said that he would consider cutting off diplomatic ties with Russia altogether over the crisis. Okay, see how that's the whole thing with the New World Order. Okay, if you're not down, you're cut off. You're separated. In an evening address to the nation, he said he was calling up military reserve members for training, but also said Ukraine would still pursue a diplomatic solution. There was no need for a full military mobilization, Mr. Zelensky said. Okay? So, well, hey, the scriptures talk about 3 woes, man, 3 world wars. Okay? And this is, this is not just going on, being coordinated in the heavens, man, but this is something that's been planned for a really long time, man. I got this quote here from Albert Pike that I'm going to read real quick. I'm going to read the bottom part about World War III, the last paragraph. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. And we're seeing that. Okay? Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. Okay? So this World War III isn't just shooting off nuclear missiles, man. No, this is going to be long planned list of staged events. Okay? And wars. We shall provide a formidable social cataclysm, provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, aka those who stand up against the New World Order, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. And that's why the Lord ain't dealing with you Christians, man. You're basically taking a bunch of fairy tales into the scriptures. I mean, you basically merge a bunch of fairy tales into the scriptures, man. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Okay? So with that, keep watching. All right, till next time. Shalom. Peace and blessings to you elect.